As soon as someone starts running after you, he immediately loses its value. Therefore, when I found out that the most beautiful girl at the school that rejected me 99 times actually fell in love with me at first sight, but just wanted enjoy the process of courtship from the guy she liked, and so she refused me again and again, I decided to ignore her and asked his curator for a guaranteed place to study abroad. Before leaving, I decided to completely sever all ties with her. But when I arrived, the birthday party was already has begun. From the VIP room, I heard familiar voices. Why is Licenza late? He's probably preparing some kind of surprise. He's already told you 99 times. Admitted, almost 100. Lin and NYU, it's time to agree. Yes, you obviously like him too, if he likes you again. Refuse, the guy you like really is. Can run away. Listening to the banter under the arm, Lin and NYU looked very self-confident. Listen loves me so much, he won't go anywhere. The next time he proposes to me, I will say yes. Hearing this self-confident tone was heartbreaking. Ironic. Next time. There won't be a next time. In the 2 years that I've been trying to achieve Linny in you, I have given up all sense of self dignity, ignoring the laughter of countless classmates. I tried every day in every way to please her, but my sincerity was never reciprocated. I thought about giving up too, me too many times. Secretly cried at night, but the next day I was going to, with spirit, and ran after her again to stay close with her. I even almost gave up such a desirable place on an exchange student until one day I didn't see Lini NYU's phone number. I found out that she fell in love with me at first sight. She called me Dear Hubby and kept me in an album, thousands of my photos. But when I found out that she loved me too, I didn't feel not a drop of happiness. On the contrary, I felt only great irony and rage. I'm exhausted. I give up. Now I just want to leave, disappear completely from the world of Lenny New. As soon as I opened the door, the conversation in the booth ended abruptly. Everyone turned around, furtively, and started talking about something else, as if, and didn't see me. Lenny New also took a glass of wine and joined to this game. She seemed cold and indifferent without even raising glance. I glanced sideways at her and couldn't help but admire what a good actress she is. When I saw the general indifference in the room, I did not feel it. Not an ounce of disappointment. I passed an empty place in corner and sat down. Everyone chatted and communicated with each other for more than an hour. With a friend, and I was just sitting, staring at the phone as if invisible. It used to be worth. I'm too lazy to appear, and knew I would certainly find a way. Approach her, and come up with different topics to attract her attention, even to this birthday party. I got there only because I begged her for a long time and asked for many to persuade her to call me, in theory that, obtained with such difficulty, should be valued more. But my calm expression and relaxed behavior, as if I didn't take her seriously, and her own birthday, this responded to her usual coldness. And this finally caused the line to break down. She couldn't help but look at me several times. After singing a birthday song and cutting cake, it's time for gifts. I waited until everyone was handed his own and slowly stood up. I took out a calendar from my bag and handed it to her. Everyone present is surprised, stared at me because the calendar was the size palm. It was only 30 pages and looked very modest. I didn't care about their reaction. I just looked to Lin and NYU and calmly said, Lin and NYU, from today, tear off one page every day when you tear. The last surprise will be waiting for you. It's belated birthday gift I prepared for you. Upon hearing this, her roommates immediately burst out laughing. The 100th confession, however, you are very persistent. 2 years have passed, and you are still here. She is so much to you. I like it a lot. Influenced by these words, Lin and Inu. Naturally, I thought it was a calendar with a report. Days until the 100th confession. The corners of her lips turned up slightly, but she quickly suppressed a smile and returned what was mine. Indifferent facial expression. I just said that I would think about it if he confessed to me 100 times, but I didn't say that I would definitely agree. I knew everyone had it all wrong when I tore off the last one. Leaf, this will not be the day of my recognition, but the day when I disappear from her world forever. I didn't explain anything. I just chuckled quietly. Lin, Yinyu, I have been trying to achieve you for so long, but I never could touch your soul. I really want to know who is your ideal type. Everyone in the room immediately fell silent. After my words, everyone looked at her meaningfully. Lin Yinyu looked at me intently after a moment of silence. Seconds, she said quietly, my ideal type. But as soon as she began to speak, the tightly closed. The door swung open with a bang, which immediately attracted everyone. General attention. In front of everyone, Suyin appeared with a beautiful gift. Box. Benyu, happy birthday. Look Lin, Benyu. Hearing this, also looked at Su Young. She tapped the tips. Fingers on the table. And she finished the interrupted thought. My ideal type is, of course, cheerful and neat. A guy who looks like a neighbor. Hearing such ambiguous words right at the entrance, Suyin's face lit up with joy, and he quickly approached to her, holding out his carefully prepared gift, and persuading her to open it immediately, all in common. Attention quickly turned to them. Nobody returned to this topic again. Seeing how the crowd surrounded them, I didn't show any sadness. I calmly returned to my place and sat down. All evening long, wherever she goes, Lin, Nui, and Sainzu were always close. They chatted, laughed, drank to each other. We ate one piece of cake for two. I silently watched this idea. Many memories flashed through my head. Although Lini Nyu was the most beautiful girl in university, and she had many admirers, she always kept guys at a distance. The only exception was Sainzu, with whom she has grown up. He straightened her disheveled bangs and escorted her to classes, carried her bag. All this care. My eyes felt like thorns piercing my heart. But it wasn't until the day I found out the truth that I realized that before, Lin Yinui and Sainzu were not so close. Sainzu always ran after her, but she never paid attention to him. Until I showed up, then he began to deliberately expose, to show off his closeness with Linya Yinui right in front of my eyes, just to make me jealous and too. I pushed for it even harder, so when I saw Lin Yinyu, I only felt irony. I put the glass on the table, got up, and went to the restroom. I splashed water on my face, my head cleared up a little. I took a handkerchief out of my pocket to dry myself. I was looking down and didn't notice someone approaching from the side. Until suddenly, I heard a sarcastic voice, Su Young, and immediately realized that things were bad. Lucianza, you have been running after your sister Inu for years, and she won't let you anywhere near you. How dare you? Get in touch with her on her birthday, but you understand, she doesn't like you at all. They have at least a drop of self-respect. You're just cheap. Who? Hanging around her neck, his words didn't make me. No anger. I just looked at him calmly. Said everything. Suin Zhu did not expect such a reaction from me. He was a little confused. Of course, you don't know what they tell you at school. The one who declared his love 99 times. After all, you're just a student and you don't have shame, not conscience. Even a blind man will see that Sister Yang Jiu loves me. Why can't you open your eyes and see it? Looking at his shameless behavior, I still didn't show it. No emotions. I just looked away from him and looked behind him. Back. Before you insult, it's better to first look at who you have behind your back. He followed my gaze, turned around in confusion, and saw Lin Yang at the door. It seemed like she had been standing there for a long time, and probably saw everything that happened. At this thought, my heart instantly began to pound. He immediately put it on again, a pitiful expression on his face, without the slightest trace of arrogance. He quickly walked up to her, took her hand, and hurried. Explain yourself. Sister Inzu, everything is not as it seems. This Lichinsu was the first to bully me, but Lin Yinyu didn't seem to care at all. She clearly saw how Suinzu insulted me, but pretended not to notice anything. She looked at me, then took off her coat and threw him to Suinza. It's windy outside. You're dressed too lightly. Make sure you don't catch a cold by saying this. She took his hand, turned around, and walked back to the booth. Suinzu did not expect such an attitude. It seemed that she was. I don't care at all that he insulted me. He suddenly felt very confident. He turned around proudly. Look, with a mocking expression on his face, as if laughing at my insolence. I ignored Suinzu's provocation and omitted head. I crumpled up the wet napkin and threw it in the trash basket. I turned around and walked down the stairs into the hallway. It was quiet. Only my steps could be heard. In the darkness I scrolled. With what just happened in my head, I chuckled. When she put clothes on him, her eyes with Winzu brazenly looked straight at me, but her words sounded caring about him. To be honest, her acting talent is really good. If I had not known her true thoughts, I might have been deceived. It was raining heavily outside. Almost all taxis have stopped working. Our company got stuck at the entrance to Barlin. Yinyu called her family driver. She said she would take Swinza home. It was so late that everyone else had already left. In the end, only I, Lichinzo, was left to wait for the taxi. This is wrong. Lin Yinyu took the umbrella from the driver. He has legs. Let him go on his own. Without looking at me, she put the Swinza into her car. Watching the sports car gradually disappear in the rain, it didn't matter. I continued to call the car through the application. I waited in the cold wind for more than 2 hours. The rain stopped, then came, then stopped, and finally, one of the drivers took the order. When I got home, it was already 2 o'clock in the morning. I went to the door of my apartment and entered the password. As soon as I opened the door opened immediately. Against. Next time, come back early. You make too much noise with the door. It prevents me from sleeping. I looked at her clothes, which she had not changed yet, and I understood everything. I smiled coldly and just answered, Doesn't matter. And he immediately entered the apartment. I turned on the light and closed the door. After taking off my shoes, there was a loud bang behind the door. I didn't pay attention. I took off my clothes and changed. In pajamas, turned it on. The air conditioner, wrapped in a blanket, collapsed on the sofa, and I bought this apartment from someone for 6 months back. When I learned that Lin Yinyu had moved out of the dormitory, I bought her on purpose and moved in to be her neighbor. In the mornings I brought her breakfast. In the evenings I wished her good night. Every day I set up random encounters, only to impress her. But no matter how much I cared about her, she ignored me. But that was until I saw her secret. I realized she was pretending not to care And tonight, she already came home and didn't even change her clothes. She was worried about my safety and couldn't sleep. But when she saw me, she deliberately started talking about something unrelated. I'm sick to death of her hypocrisy, just to death. And I'm not going to play along with her anymore. I opened my phone and went into the real estate app and put the house up for sale. Since I have decided to leave, I will cut off all ties. The next morning the agent came to inspect the house. I opened the door. Sleepy, I briefly outlined the situation with the apartment to her. After that, I was about to say goodbye to her. The door opposite opened. It was Laziness Nui. She held the car keys in her hands and was about to go out. And then she saw an unfamiliar woman next to me. She couldn't help but frown. Who is this? My daughter-in-law. I came to tell you something. I lied, and without blinking an eye. The agent looked at me in surprise, but she was professional and didn't give me away. She found some excuse and left. I went back to my room to change and go. In Unver, when I returned, I saw someone standing by the elevator and blocks my path. I looked up, and it was Lini Nyu. I was a little surprised. Didn't she leave? Why is she still here? Lini Nyu noticed the confusion in my eyes and felt awkward. Said, Today I will take you. I didn't understand why she was acting so strange, so I shook my head and refused. But she insisted that she would give me a ride. She was so persistently imposing herself in the ass that she came up with a bunch excuses from, you're late, yes, follow my path. Seeing that she was about to start talking about saving energy, I couldn't stand it, and, not wanting to waste any more time, agreed. We drove in silence the whole way. There was deathly silence in the car. She's used to me freaking her out, but because of my silence, Linya knew and felt out of place. Plate. I was a little surprised. It didn't seem to be my imagination. He really had changed over these days, and these changes filled. I had an inexplicable call when we arrived at the school. I unfastened my seatbelt, thanked him, went out first. I quickly walked entrance to the school and noticed that all the passers-by were looking at me with a very strange expression. This is Licenza. Yes, the same one that is now in trend, which... Shame. Hearing these incomprehensible words, I quickly opened phone and saw several links that were sent. Friends. Clicking, I took a quick look and found that someone posted about me stalking. Line. On the board of shame, and this made it to the top. Looking at the post title, I.S. stuck, Kingda, I was stunned. The most popular post was one that detailed everything related to my persecution. Everything was described in detail. They even published contents of love letters. From a distance, I also saw a school notice board surrounded by a huge crowd. My love letters were posted everywhere, and the crowd was laughing and commenting. Oh, what's in your eyes is so cheesy. 99 love letters, all written differently. Such an obsession. The tightness is scary. Isn't this the best student from Xinhua? Why is she so desperate? Listening to these cursory ridicule, my heart sank. I broke through the crowd and started tearing them off one after another. As a result, I heard the sarcastic voice of Soan Tiesu again. Sister Inyu, Licenza has confessed to you so many times. How strong are your feelings for her? Lin Yinyu's voice was as cold as always. She said only one number, 0. The main characters are on stage, not a bad scene, but humiliated me in front of everyone. Licenza, I love you. Together, the cheers from the crowd were so annoying. Several people shouted encouragement. Licenza, admit it. His girlfriend, Subin Guan, said Licenza is good. The shock applies to you. He confesses to you every day. This is the 9th time. Yes, and he studies well, and the family. She has a good one. When is your next confession? We will all come. Look and give you advice. I tightly clutched the piece of torn love letter in my hand. My index finger turned white from tension, and my lips. A few words were already ready to slip out. I was about to speak, but when I saw the complete pity, looks from all sides, I restrained myself. I raised my head high, love letter in hand, like a battle flag, and loudly stated, Fine. Then, the 100th recognition will take place in the central square. Schools, at 9 o'clock in the morning, December 3rd, are invited. All the students with their friends. Look at this without paying attention to the reactions of others. I left there with a high. With your head raised. That morning I did not go to class, but returned home. I tore up a thick stack of love letters and burned them to the ground, and the papel was washed into the sewer. On the weekend, the club, which had been quiet for a long time, suddenly sent out collection message. I just sent an application to leave it, so went, but when she opened the door, she saw the laziness of Yemyu, who never did not participate in such events. Unexpectedly, she was there too. I pretended not to see her and sat alone in the corner. As soon as they saw me, Suyung's friends, they immediately started pretending to be good, as Janja could agree. Of course, this is because Yinsu loves action. Everyone knows that our school beauty only obeys Yinsu. I ignored their little tricks. I took my panties and cleaned them. When everyone had gathered, the headman announced the start of the game. I was not interested, but they pulled me in. I had to force yourself to play this terribly boring game. We played 7-8 rounds of action. In the end, I lost the line. Everyone screamed excitedly. The punishment was a kiss by someone of the opposite sex, for a full 3 minutes. Come on, who do you choose, school beauty? I knew she wouldn't choose me, and I didn't care. Who will she choose? I put my head down and turned the cubes in my hand. Everything happened as I expected. Lin Ying to chose Suyin Zhu, but she asked to turn it off. All the light in the room. The room became completely dark. All you could hear was, "Who's from rest?" 3 minutes later, the light was turned on. Lin Yinyui sat down first. Suyin was left standing alone with a dissatisfied face because Lin Yinyui never kissed him. I glanced at him. I heard the headman announce a new round. I rolled the 3 dice I had in my hand. Unfortunately, all 3 got ones. Lowest score in the game. I silently pulled a card from the pile. The punishment was the same. Everyone in the room perked up. Their glances darted between me, Laziness, and Nu and Suyin. I pretended not to notice and moved. Casually shooter, game dial, pointing at opposite classmate. For a moment, everyone thought I was chickening out. Sorry girl, that girl. She was confused and was about to get up when Laziness. Inu suddenly jumped to her feet, knocking over the stool. And while everyone was perplexed, she coldly interrupted them. We've been playing for so long. I'm a little tired. It's time to take a break. She said this, and her roommates immediately supported. Echo. In old age, I had to announce the suspension of punishment. During the break, several girls said they were hungry. And together with her friends, they dragged the guys down, saying that, let's go have a bath and eat. They were gone for 20 minutes, seeing that they did not return. The headman did not want to wait any longer and immediately announced the continuation. Games. I put my phone down, looked around, and found that my partner left. Something more interesting, except for Lin, Inu, all the other girls. Gone. I didn't even have to guess. It was clearly set up by Lin Yinyu. But I didn't want to follow her lead, so I raised a glass of 500 milliliters, which stood in front of me, and gestured to everyone present. My chosen partner left, according to the rules of the game. I choose punishment, drink. Having said this, I raised my head and drank a glass of wine in one gulp. Lin Yinyu didn't expect that I would choose to drink instead of selected. Her face immediately darkened. She looked at me gloomily. Her face quickly turned red, clutching the playing bones so that they are held together. When half the people left, the game was over, so the party came to an end. I got drunk, and to that time, as everyone left, I conveyed the statement to old age. Spiraling against the wall, I went down the stairs, and how? Once when I reached the landing, in the fog I saw Sun nearby. I wanted to pretend I didn't notice him and walk around him. But he grabbed my hand. Indignation was visible in his eyes. When the lights were turned on, what did that look of yours mean? I tell you, even though Sister Inu didn't kiss me, there was a reason for that. This shows her respect for me. Hearing this, I almost laughed. But I knew no matter what I said, Seinzu won't listen to me, so I just nodded. Yes, model, yes, that's how it happened. I was about to push her hand away and leave, but Seong-su. She grabbed me even tighter and continued. Swear, not wanting to give in. We quarreled. I could barely stand on my feet anyway, and when she dragged me, I couldn't keep my balance and fell backwards, head over heels from the stairs. Seong-su was scared. She, too, could not stand on her feet and rolled down after me, having heard some noise upstairs. The students who did not have time to go far turned around. Seeing that we were both seriously injured, everyone panicked. Eventually, Lin Yin contacted someone and took us to her hospital. After examination, the doctor said that I had a fracture. Without temporary treatment, there was a risk of remaining disabled. From the moment she found out we were wounded, her gaze was fixed on me. She saw my pale face, the drops in my forehead, and it seemed I felt my pain as if it were my own. Her heart was breaking. The operating room was ready, but in the hospital, there was only one surgeon capable of performing such an operation. Lin and NYU had to decide who to operate on. First, she looked instinctively at me, and our glances met. There was no longer the usual affection in her eyes, and warmth, only indifference, like the surface of standing water. From this look, The hearts of Lin and Nu and Bashina began to pound. Girl, please decide quickly who to operate. First, I lay on the gurney, pale as a sheet, right in front of. Before losing consciousness, I heard Lin. Yinyu and firmly pronounced this name, Sainsu. Save Sainsu first. Soon the doctor took Sainsu to the operating room. The moment the door closed behind her, I finally lost consciousness. When I woke up, a day had already passed. The first thing I did was opening his eyes. He reached out his hand and touched his feet. When I felt that my legs were still in place, and I feel them, I breathed a sigh of relief. Tears welled up in my eyes, the tears of a survivor. Luckily, I wasn't paralyzed. My parents received the news and immediately rushed over. I was taken to the VIP room on the top floor and surrounded. Care. 2 hours later, Su was put in the room opposite mine. It was personally brought by Lin Yinyu. To make it more convenient to carry out the examination, the doors of both the wards were open. So I heard perfectly well what was happening in that ward. Su Yingzhu kept complaining of pain. Lin Yinyu tried to distract him with conversations. He didn't like the hospital food. So she went home and prepared a bunch of leftovers, dishes, and brought them to him. He was bored in the ward, so she found him all kinds new and interesting things to keep him entertained. For 10 days in the hospital, the two of them, they became so close that even the nurses, whispering, did not. Ledikin is going to get himself a son-in-law. I listened silently, without interfering, but deep down I knew that laziness and Inyu are doing all this for show, for me. After all, I closed the door of my room hundreds of times, and once a nurse came to check. It definitely wasn't a coincidence. On the day of discharge, I ran into them again in the underground parking lot. As soon as they saw me, Yinyu's laziness immediately helped. Suinzu rose from the wheelchair and placed him in the car. Listen, so, I heard you live right opposite the house. Yen, let us give you a ride. I ignored it. Without even raising my head, I immediately got into the car. When the car arrived at the house, I refused to help parents and went home. Alone, on casting wheels. The elevator went from the -1st floor to the first. Actually, Lin Inyu was about to take Suinza home, but suddenly they entered. We looked at each other silently. The elevator stopped at the 17th floor. Lin Inju, who was standing at the door, still did not come out, so I had to use crutches to do a few steps and go out first. I walked slowly, but the man behind me was still moving slower. I constantly felt his gaze on me as I approached. To the door, I wanted to enter the password, but my crutch fell. On the floor, suddenly, I had to lean against the wall and slowly lean over, and just as I was about to touch to the crutch, a shadow fell in front of me. Lin Yinyu also sat down. He was probably going to help me raise the crutch, but at the moment when his hand came into my field of vision, he pulled it back and tied it. Untied lace. I grinned. I picked up the castell, slowly straightened up, and entered the room. I rested at home for a long time. Final exams were approaching. Although I was planning to go abroad, my leg was almost. I didn't listen, so I didn't. I started asking for a deferment and went to the exam. There were too many steps in the auditorium and my injury. My legs had not yet healed, so I sat in the first row on center. A moment later, Lin Yin was also helped by Suin. Zhu entered the audience. Seeing me, Suyansa said that her leg hurts and she wants to sit in the first row. Lin Yinyu helped her sit next to me, and he sat down against the wall. Soon the exam began. Suyansa waited until the teacher will go down the aisle, and that the moment she came down the last step, she threw pre-prepared paper ball through the passage straight on my table. My hand holding the pen froze before I could understand what is happening. The teacher turned around and scolded me. We cheat on the exam. I have emphasized more than once that you can make mistakes, but you cannot have a bad character or cheat. Listen, your result has been cancelled. Only then did I understand what I was up to with the Winju, but I did not want to put up with this injustice. I immediately jumped up and objected, saying that I wanted to watch recordings from cameras. Unfortunately, it was at that moment that the building lost power, light, so the surveillance cameras in the audience did not have time. Turn on when you see the facial expression. Switch changed from surprise to joy. I just couldn't swallow it. I was lazy and sat next to the Swinchu. She saw everything. The teacher didn't want to punish anyone in vain, so she called Lini NYU. The Lini NYU family was an investor in our university. Lini NYU didn't need to please anyone. She is honest and direct, and so are her words. Always had weight both among teachers and among students. After listening to the whole story, Lini NYU looked at me and said calmly, I copied it from Misa Inshu. By doing this, she essentially found me guilty. Luken, what else can you say? You deny cheating and slander your classmate. What a stubborn guy. Your past grades should be too. The result of cheating is yes, in any case. This time I will report your misdeed to the whole school. For public criticism. I remained standing there. I felt like I had fallen into an ice cave. I thought that when it comes to truth and lies, Lin and Nu will remain true to her principles. That's why I said her name, but I didn't expect it. That she, who has seen everything with her own eyes, will testify in favor of Swinchu. Any explanations were now useless. I looked closely at Lin. Yinyu left without saying a word. Seeing my reddened eyes, Lin Yinyu suddenly panicked. She instinctively rushed after me and stood in front of me, Ray. All I know is that Yansu was wrong in this matter. But he has thin skin. I don't want anyone to talk about him. He didn't even apologize. He was just making excuses for Cyanza. I even began to doubt whether there were photographs that I saw that day. Sleep. So that's why you're helping him slander me. He can't stand gossip. And that means I can, yes. Laziness in you. You think, since I confessed to you. Times then I have thick skin like wall and I'm strong enough to ignore any gossip. Looking at my face, left eyelid shedding, twitched. And he grabbed my hand. That's not what I meant, that's just an exam. Points can be returned. I will find a way. I'll fix everything later. I'll make up for the offense you. I brought it today. I don't like you. How are you going to fix this? From my sarcastic tone, my heart sank, and he almost gave away his true feelings. Who said I don't like you? As soon as he said that, he knew something was wrong, and quickly fell silent. Trust me, when you confess for the 100th time, I will fix everything. Lin Yanyu and almost said that he would definitely accept my confession. Previously, he would not have shown so many weaknesses, but now, my heart has already cooled down. I pulled his hand away, then tear off the calendar pages, and wait for the last day. Seeing that I removed my hand, Lin Yanyu was also taken aback. He finally softened a little. Okay, 3 days left. I will definitely give you an answer that suits you. 3 days before I left the apartment that was put up for sale within half a month. The realtor brought the contract. I quickly signed it. I move on in 3 days. I'll clean everything up here one of these days so the new tenant can move in. After they wrote down the date, I walked them to elevator. When the door opened, came out with 2 bags, Lin and Nu. She stared at Miss Song for a moment and then politely said good morning. Miss Song replied, yeah, confused. After the elevator, I went down. I turned around and was about to leave. Lin NYU suddenly stopped me and handed me the package. I passed by here and bought too much. I don't want to eat everything. You want a little? I took a look and saw that these were my favorite dried fruits. The store is located in the east of the city. It takes more than 2 hours to get there and back, and wait another hour in line to buy them. She specially bought my favorite snacks and brought them under pretext. I silently took them and carelessly threw away the bag of dried fruits, describing, in the air of an oak tree, he landed as if in a trash can. 2 days before departure, I went to the printing house and spent several thousand yuan by printing 10,000 cards of size. With the palm of my hand, I returned to the hostel and asked my roommates. On the 3rd day, climb to the roof of the building and scatter. These. The cards in the square, my neighbors, also knew that. What happened to me recently after hearing that I'm not going to give up, everyone began to dissuade me. Chinsa, why don't you just let go? Lin and NYU already treated you like that. Why are you still trying to be happy? Yes, she really went too far. It's so unfair to your feelings. Although I've already let go of everything, hearing my friends worry, it was still pleasant and warmed the soul. Don't worry. I know what I'm doing. Just help me scatter. Эти карточки. I've already hired a cleaning company to take care of. Об остальном. I'm not going to confess my love. Actually, I want to say goodbye. Hearing this, several guys were dumbfounded. They couldn't understand what I was up to. Thanking them again, I turned around and walked away, looking how my silhouette gradually melts into the distance. My roommates. They opened the cardboard box and took out a card. There was only one phrase written on it. Listen will never love Lenyandra again. The day before departure, I went to the university to settle all the formalities. Returning home, I started packing my things. I only lived there for 6 months, so I had a little, but almost all of them were associated with Lenyandra. I found some boxes and dumped it all in them. Junk. Scarf that I knitted for laziness. NU in a whole fortnight. I unraveled it back into a ball of yarn, ceramic. Bottle she donated to charity. Fair, and I bought it with such difficulty. I smashed them into pieces. Every love letter I wrote to her at night. I went through Shrido. The moment I threw away all this garbage, everything that was between me and laziness, Yinya and Nulla have sunk into the past. In the end, I only had 2 sets of clothes left. The same one I was wearing when we first met. Shirt and loose black jeans. I messed with the stove and burned everything to the ground. I stood up and saw Lenyandra nearby. What are you doing? Getting rid of unnecessary junk. I threw it casually, turned around, and walked up the stairs. It was barely dawn when I was awakened by a noise from the next room. I sleepily opened my eyes and took the phone to look. Time, and saw messages pop up, one after another. In the notification line, it took me a while to realize that everything. Messages. They came from a group chat in which there were more. 20 people. A year ago I joined it to find out about Lin's preferences. Enyu, I forgot to go out. Lin Yinyu didn't even know that I was there. And they started texting so early in the morning, just a few. Roommates Lin and Nu. And you, why are you up so early? She was probably so worried that she didn't sleep all night. Of course, they've been texting there since 11 at night. Will you really accept the confession this time? Luko. Having reached this place, my hand froze. I have rarely seen Lin and Nyo write such a long text. Lin and Nu and I love each other. This goes without saying, so don't ask stupid questions. Questions. Better help me choose what to wear today or this. After seeing the dozens of outfit photos she sent, the group chat instantly exploded. And God, what a commotion. And this is our cold and unapproachable school beauty, who supposedly doesn't like guys. Amidst all this excitement, Lin and Nui responded with just, in one sentence, I really like him. I must marry him in this life. Seeing these words, I couldn't help but laugh. Many events from the past flashed through my head. And this phrase of hers, I like him, seemed to me the finale. An absurd and comical story about Henry. Like, means that's why she rejected it. My 99 confessions made me the laughingstock of everyone. Like it, so she ignored me and deliberately getting close to other guys to piss off me. I like it, that's why. She told the truth, slandered me, and trampled on my sincerity. If this is her love, then I can't afford it. And it's not necessary. Message update speed. The chat has increased dramatically. Several girls living on campus posted a few photographs from the scene. It was only the beginning of 8, and the square was already crowded with crowd. Everyone came to see my 100th confession. Enyu, come quickly. Don't miss the recognition. Otherwise, you are the main character, then you won't be able to push through the crowd. I was about to leave the chat when I saw a message. Which Lenya? And you just sent to me? I'm ready. Go out. And you? I'm ready too. I'm already leaving. Suddenly I wanted to see what Linyani will have a face when he sees how these cards scatter across the area, and how will he feel when he learns that? I'd like to check out. But, unfortunately, I won't see this. From now on, everything related to Ling Yan no longer concerns me. After gathering my things, I slowly turned around and looked around the empty room. Then he took out his phone and blocked it. All numbers and accounts associated with Lin Yan have been blocked. Having done all this, I felt more relieved than ever. Earlier, I dragged my suitcase, turned to leave, and ran. To meet your new bright life. It was 5 minutes to 9. The square was packed with people. Even the guards came to maintain order. Looking at the busy scene below, my roommates were delighted, and there was excitement in their voices. So many people. Looks like what's about to happen will spread quickly. Throughout the school, it's even better. Otherwise, when Chinsa leaves, some will say nasty things behind his back. Several people started talking at once. At almost 8:59, Chinsa has come, quickly, to their places, those who scatter, and those who take photographs. Everyone should be on alert before Chinsa sits down. On the plane, let's show you. This is a great spectacle for him. They had barely finished when the bell rang for 9 hours, and 2 guys, one on the left, the other on the right, took their positions, and they pushed the box with cards. In an instant, from the roof of a 16-story building, white cards flew out. Someone in the square, some short-sighted student, shouted, "It's snowing." Everyone looked up. When the cards were almost falling to the ground, people below reached on tiptoe to catch them and send. See what is written there. In the center of the square, Lin and Yu also looked up with hope. Several friends looked at this grandiose spectacle and sighed in admiration. Why are there so many of them? Probably 10,000. Licenza really tried. Listening to the envious voices of their friends, Lin and Nu, I was also full of anticipation. She reached out, caught the card, and turned it over with a smile. She saw the inscription. The expression on her face instantly froze. Her friends next to her came over to make fun of her. But when they saw the writing on the piece of paper, they opened their eyes and began to stutter. This is impossible. There must be some kind of mistake. Several people consoled her, picking up the fallen cards and showing them to each other. To a friend. But the ones that had just been picked said the same thing. Licenza will never love Lin Yu again. Everyone fell into complete panic. They quickly snatched a few more from other people. But, having received them, they saw the contents, and their fear was growing. How can this be? This is not a declaration of love. What is this? Damn it. Like this? Maybe someone ruined everything on purpose? A few people were still trying to make excuses. The spectators who already had cards shouted loudly. And Licenza will never love Lin Yu again. So this is not a declaration of love. Damn it, you brought us here. They took such pains to make it clear, just to make it clear. That's it, you advertised it so much that now the whole school knows. Growing, wave of complaints Lin Yu's face, gradually. She turned pale, she felt as if she was squeezing something. Heart and oxygen stopped flowing to the brain, leaving only emptiness until her eyes filled with shock and fear. Thousands of people in the square reached out to see her reaction, and she didn't disappoint anyone. She dropped her things and headed out big. Stepping towards the building, the spectators hurried after her, throwing out last stack of papers. My roommates were about to leave, but when they approached the door, they collided face to the face. Lin Yanjua. She ran with several friends. After several seconds, a huge crowd of onlookers followed them, seeing Lin Yanyu. My roommate immediately began to tease her. Ah, so this is the beauty of our university, isn't it? You didn't say you didn't like Chinsa, so why? What are you doing here? I decided to take part in this boring movement. Hearing this regal voice, laziness Yinjue squeezed fists, and her face immediately darkened. These things you gave them away without permission. After hearing the words, without permission, the three guys laughed. What are you saying? How could we? Chainsaw spent a lot of money to do all this himself. Print it, and with great difficulty brought it to the university. And we just helped convey this once. Hearing this, students, they whispered downstairs, can't Lin and New hate. Maybe Licenzo? What? Licenzo has already given up. Why won't he calm down? What do you understand? In the world of naval, it is called a flower on the top of a mountain. When they lower her into a speedy steel, you start running after her. In my opinion, if she regrets it now, she deserves such humiliation. What had she done the previous 99 times? Those daring words pierced. There is laziness in the heart, in you, like a blade, a knife, piercing her long-established self-confidence over the past 2 years. She thought she knew me very well and could control my thoughts and actions with ease. And everything turned out as I expected. First, 99 confessions went off without a hitch. She thought that for the 100th time, everything would end, and between will be supplied by us. But at that moment, when she was confident of her victory, I dealt her a fatal blow, announcing to the whole world that she cannot feign indifference, and completely revealing her true nature. To the matter of Chinzo, a rather pleased expression appeared on the chairman's face. Grin. He raised his hand and made a motion as if he was swinging wings. The confession is over. Of course he flew away. Lin Yu instinctively thought that he would eat. But when she heard the last 2 words, her heart sank. For a few seconds, flew away. What does it mean? She suddenly had a bad feeling. She pushed away the guys standing in front of her and ran onto the roof. The roof was empty, not a soul. But the corridors and elevators were packed with people. She couldn't come down. Luxian has not been at school since today. Realizing this, she was terrified and could not come to her senses. She went out security and finally evacuated the publication crowd. Several the girls were escorted down the line. At first glance, she saw 7 or 8 cleaners sweeping paper on the ground. She crouched down, stunned, and picked up the trampled piece of cardboard. Seeing the inscription on it, she felt like the old anger and shock gave way to boundless panic and fear. It's okay and new. Lucan did it. He must still be angry that you're on. I told him last time. Go and explain with him. Tell him everything that's on your heart. He loves you so much, he will definitely forgive you. Yes, he has been chasing you for 2 years. He has already admitted it 99 times. He's probably just sulking this time. You just need to pamper him a little, though that's all. And gave good advice. But my lazy 6th sense told me that since everything is different than before, she couldn't suppress the feeling of panic and didn't want to listen. Their endless chatter. Confused, she went straight to her apartment. She wanted demand an explanation from me. At 11:30, she parked the car, and as soon as to the entrance to the residential complex, I saw workers and the cleaning service cleans out the trash cans. Suddenly, she remembered seeing me the day before, squatting and burning something. She thought there was something wrong with me, but she didn't ask what's wrong. Now she wanted to see what I was burning. But the janitor had already installed a new trash can and taken away the old one. Lin Yinui could only go upstairs with the card. When the elevator doors opened, her exit was blocked by several large suitcases. The guy from the next apartment, seeing that she couldn't, got out, hurried to apologize and move the luggage. She assumed that these were the things of the new neighbor, who just moved. But when she arrived at her door, she discovered that the door is opposite. It was ajar. She raised her hand and knocked. It was quiet inside. This is silence. An unnatural silence forced the line and unconsciously frown. She was about to push the door open to see, when suddenly a male voice came from behind her. "You are a neighbor across the street." "Hello, hello. I'm from apartment number 1705. I'm a new tenant. I ask you to love and favor." After hearing this number, Lin Yinyu instinctively looked at the door number, the next one. For a second she froze, like a statue, and the guy just pushed, dragged his suitcase, and enthusiastically introduced himself. Lin Yinyu didn't hear a word. She turned around absent-mindedly, staring at the apartment number. To your left. The apartment number was 1705, 1705. New tenant. And the previous tenant, the agent, said that he moved out today. In the morning. You know him. Can you give me his contact information? He seemed to be in a hurry. The apartment was offered at a low price, so I was able to. It's good to remove it. I still want to thank him. From these few words, Lin Yinyu's head was all blurred. After a long stupor, she suddenly realized everything. She turned and pushed the slightly open door. The room was empty. Apart from standard furniture, there was not a single personal things. Clean, like a new apartment. The guy didn't notice how her face gradually changed, turned gray, and continued to smile. How clean it is. The agent said that he took 3 whole days spent for cleaning because it was inconvenient to move, and he also threw out a lot of things. Lin Yinyu did not remember how she got home. When she came to, she found herself sitting on the floor in the hallway. Her legs were so numb that she couldn't feel them. It felt like she had just been pulled out from the water. She took out her phone and found the contact My. She opened it with her ears and trembling hands and typed out a few words. Why did you move? Immediately after clicking the submit button, a small red exclamation mark appeared on the screen. Sign. That red icon hitting her eyes made her gaze frozen for a few seconds. Then she sent a few more messages. Several more similar notifications appeared. Looking at the phone screen, she felt something squeezed her throat, almost preventing her from breathing. At the very moment when she began to choke, the phone rang. She finally exhaled and answered the call. But a scream was heard from the other side, terrified of its neighbor. Around the room. Inyu, there's trouble here. Licenzo went to Italy, right here on the notice board. I saw his name on the list of exchange students. These words sounded like a bolt from the blue, raising a huge wave in Lin Yang's heart. She wanted stand up, leaning on the cabinet, but her anime legs do not obeyed. She collapsed on the floor, hitting his forehead against the corner of the wall and breaking it into blood. Blood gushed out. The phone next to me was ringing off the hook. What's wrong with you? We are already on our way. Lin Yinyu has not had time to comprehend these words. She raised her hand to press the wound. It seemed to her as if ants were gnawing on her brain. The nerve pain was unbearable. She curled up into a ball, and a quiet, painful moan burst out of her throat. Everything plunged into darkness before how to finally lose consciousness, her last. The thought was the words she read countless, many times that day, and which forever crashed. In her heart, Licenza will never love again. Ling Yan, Lin and Nyu were seriously injured, and although she miraculously escaped death and was placed in intensive care, when she woke up again, she realized that it had already passed 3 days. Several friends leaned over her bed with a sigh of relief, and then they said that happened during the days while she was unconscious, judging by. Apparently, Licenza arrived in Italy 3 days ago, but he never completed the enrollment procedure. After the lists were announced, someone came to the university and reported him, saying that he cheated on the exam, on the recent one, and what follows. Dropped from study abroad program. If his place is cancelled, he will likely return. Don't worry, Inyu. There is no escape from Licenza. Lin Yang's heart jumped, and her eyes shot open. She had not yet managed to recover from the huge flow of information when there was a knock on the door. One of the neighbors went open. The other 3 turned around and saw the famous Professor San, who came in with a stern face. His domineering appearance was such that no one dared look him straight in the eyes. He glanced at the girl. In a hospital bed, you are Lin Yangu. I heard you gave testimony in a plagiarism case. I want to talk to you after hearing this. And her neighbors, they didn't dare to stay around the room, and hurriedly we left the room, looking at the slowly closing door. Lin Jiangu raised her chin slightly. This is me. Having received an affirmative answer, the face of the professor Sanam instantly contorted with anger. He deliberately raised his voice. Chinsa told me that you committed false testimony. You dare to lie in such an important matter. You understand how this will affect his future once the article is published. And last time, because of the fuss you made online, you'll ruin his whole life. You like him. But to be honest, in the last 2 years, at least once he did something bad to you. You hate him so much that decided to push him into the abyss. If you have any left in you, even a drop of conscience, you should immediately tell to the university the truth. From these words from Lin Yangu, my head was buzzing and my heart was pounding furiously. She just vented about the fact that he didn't choose her at a party, club, and wanted him to make amends. Her guilt, which is why she lied to Professor Saha. She could not even imagine that it would cause such a chain reaction, not paying attention to the wound on her forehead. She is from. Got up with the last of my strength to go to university with Professor Sun and explain everything. As soon as they came out, they were immediately stopped. Several workers. The doctors did not dare to let her go and began to persuade her. But she didn't want to listen. She insisted on returning to university. Professor Sun contacted the head of the disciplinary Lin Yanyu committee in the presence of the Daiken Faculty of Design and professors. She pointed out Soyingzu as a plagiarist. Soyingzu didn't expect her to give up on him so suddenly and immediately panicked. He shouted in tears that it was not him. Professor Sa did not expect him to give up his words and didn't know whether to believe him or not. The next face laziness knew and turned on the phone and showed the photo. This letter Suyin wrote to me personally. My family will deliver the original later. You can compare handwriting in the letter and in the note. Hearing this, Suoenzu burst out. Enyu, it's me, damn it. Don't you remember how we grew up together? Everything is already in the past. Why are you lying, lazy? Lin Yu saw that even in the face of the irresistible evidence, he still tries to deny it. There was a flash of disgust in his gaze. I never liked you. I used to just play a role, but now I don't want to pretend. And I won't protect you anymore, since you left. To this end, be prepared to answer for your actions to the end. Before he could finish speaking, the family Lin sent the original. After checking, the handwriting on the note actually belonged to Suin Su. The disciplinary committee held a meeting and decided publish an announcement to the entire university with clarification of facts. Due to the harmful influence, Suin Su was expelled, and the incident itself was entered into his personal file. By the time everything was settled, it was already dark. Lin and NYU, leaning on the wall, came out and called. Professor Jana, Professor San, Shinzu are aware of these affairs in China, and although the matter was resolved perfectly, Professor San, still angry and disliked her, you are about to be fired. Of course, he knows you hit your head after such a reprimand. Lin and NYU became increasingly uneasy, but she still wanted to explain something. Since the matter is settled, he will return. This quota is the only one for the entire Design Institute. Shinzo received it thanks to his abilities. He will study in Italy for 3 years, and when he returns, he has a bright future ahead of him. Why would he come back? Besides, there are people like you in Quinta. It would be better for him if he didn't come back. If only I knew that he was so carried away by someone like you. I would have a serious talk with him. You need to be careful when choosing a partner when. Professor Sun called me to tell me that everything in order. I was just sunbathing by the sea. I don't know how the professor managed to make Lenina. And tell the truth, I expressed my sincere gratitude to him. Professor Sun gave it to me. A few more instructions, and then hurriedly left for meeting. I sipped some juice and relaxed on the sun lounger. 3 days ago, I arrived in Italy and wanted to immediately go to fill out documents for enrollment, but from the university called to clarify the situation and suddenly reported, "What about mine? There is a problem with Kvada and enrollment is not yet possible." I asked my roommate and found out that at me, they wrote a denunciation, so I found Professor Sun to explain the situation and ask him to find a solution. And although Professor Sun, this is a golden mark of quality. Sinwa, I also understood that clarifying this would be not easy. I was also ready for the storm. To be honest, ever since I met Linionyu, my stress tolerance has increased significantly. Now faced with a serious consequence in the form of numbers, I can calmly accept this, and I have. I was even in the mood to buy a plane ticket to go on vacation to the beach. Now that everything has been decided, I am completely relaxed. I was thinking about going back one day and finish the unfinished business. I was just looking at air tickets when a message appeared in the dorm group chat. Chinso, Lin Yantio, just came to our room and said that she wanted to know your contacts. She said she wanted to apologize. We won't fall for her trick. Don't worry, we haven't leaked any numbers, but you have no idea. She's so exhausted now, with a bandage on her head. I heard she was in intensive care 2 days ago. This is real karma. It serves her right. Seeing these vivid complaints, I instantly remembered the scene where Lin Yin-K refused my new number. A smile appeared on my lips, and I sent a big red envelope to the group. Thank you everyone for your help these days. The case was successfully resolved. When the 3-year term ends, I will treat you to dinner. When I return to China, I will personally express my gratitude to you. Having booked my last flight back to Milan, I stretched and stood up. This time I went to a hotel on a soft beach. The registration process went smoothly, no more problems did not arise. Looking at a stack of documents, with stamps and my new student ID, I smiled with satisfaction. Do you want to live in a hostel? Or will you look for an apartment? Myself, I have already found an apartment. I can't stand the fuss in hostels for international students, so before your arrival, I bought a small apartment nearby. I immediately took suitcase and hurried there. When I arrived at the place, I looked at the stairs in front of me and tried. Lift your heavy suitcase. I took a deep breath. I've already thought about it. Should I pay someone to help me? When suddenly, a pretty girl approached me. She asked me in English if I needed help. I nodded quickly. This beauty and I picked up our luggage and went upstairs together, chatting along the way. When we arrived at the apartment door, we had just finished. Introduce yourself to each other. I bowed and thanked her. She showed me her reddened palm and made a friendly joke. I helped you, so a simple thank you will probably be enough. Not enough. If it's not too much trouble, you can give me your business card after hearing. I was taken aback by this request, but quickly came myself, but I couldn't find my business card anywhere. All I could do was look at her. Sorry, no big deal. And then, as if out of nowhere, she took out a pen and held out. Give me your hand. Phone number. Please write on my hand. I hesitated for a few seconds, then took a pen and wrote. Ro. The number is on her palm. After moving to a new apartment, I've been very busy. I spent several days setting up my new home. In the evening, I received a message that all foreign exchange students have completed registration and that on the next day there will be a welcome meeting in the assembly hall. I wrote down the time and left early the next day. On the days when I had free time, I wandered on the territory of the university. But since the campus was too large, the architectural style are similar, I was constantly confused, seeing that time. It's already pressing. I was just about to ask someone for directions when suddenly my phone rang. It was an unfamiliar number. After thinking for a couple of seconds, I still answered. A very familiar voice reached my ears, but I could remember whose it was. While I was wondering who it could be, maybe someone suddenly tapped me on the shoulder from behind. I turned around and saw the beauty Sylvia, who greeted me with a smile, still holding the phone to my ear. Then I realized that it was her number. Surprise showed on my face, and we high-fived each other. What did you dream about? I told her everything as it is about my situation. After listening to me, she said that she, too, was going there and can show me the way. I'm going there, too. Let me show you the way. I didn't hesitate as we walked through the labyrinth-like campus, chatting and laughing all the way, walking for more than 10 minutes. Sylvia pointed to the building ahead and said, "See this?" I took out my phone and checked. It was exactly like this. The same as on the building maps sent by students. I hurried. Thanks, Sylvia. The newcomers' party lasted 2 hours. I came out of there so tired that it hurt to explain myself. I was just thinking about where to have lunch when suddenly in front of someone appeared to me. Sylvia greeted me with a smile and asked about my plans for lunch, and that's exactly what I was worried about. She saw my confusion, smiled, and recommended restaurant, inviting me to go with her. I agreed. I followed her from campus. When we arrived at the restaurant, I realized it was Chinese restaurant. Doubt flashed in my eyes. Do you want to take me out to eat Chinese food? Are you used to it? I heard you're not used to the food here. Hope you like it. Today we will have a pleasant lunch. I also want to try Chinese food, so I chose this restaurant for her. I didn't expect her to be so attentive. I didn't want to refuse her kindness. Let's come here. I'm also the owner of the part. Let me pay for this lunch. Hope your first experience with Chinese food will be successful. We chatted while we went into restaurants. We sat down at the table. Thanks to Sylvia's lively and polite character, lunch went very well. We talked about the cultural differences between the East and the West. I am in many ways interesting what's happened lately. We quickly became friends. After lunch, Sylvia walked me to my apartment, leaving. She hesitated, as if she did not want to say goodbye. Listen, can I invite you to tea? This weekend. The weather was unusually good over the weekend. I gladly accepted the invitation. I chatted with Sylvia in the garden cafe. A flock of white doves flew over the dozer. One mashed potato fell on my head. When Sylvia saw him, she smiled and wanted. Remove it. We were too close. From the outside, we looked very close. I looked up, smiling. Thank you. While I was saying this, I looked to my left, and my gaze froze. A woman stood in the doorway with a bandage on her forehead. An emaciated woman had a smear on her forehead. I looked at her. How could she look so much like a tench before I was able to take a closer look at it? The woman had already approached us aggressively. She lowered her blood-stained eyes and looked top to bottom table with delicious cakes. Her gaze darted between us. Who is she? Hearing that familiar voice, I was sure it was Lenny Inu. Although I didn't understand how she knew I was here. Her appearance did not surprise me. I knew that one day she would come to Italy for me. In the end, in the eyes, Lin and knew I are easy prey. She would never lose sight of me. I was already ready for our meeting, so in the face of her hostility, I remained especially calm. New girlfriend? Girlfriend? What other girlfriend? Last words. Lin and NYU almost muttered through her teeth. She never thought it would be so hard. Wounded, but will still fly here, wanting to confess everything. And finds me on a date with another woman. Found new love, just a few days abroad. Didn't you love me for 2 years, and didn't give up, even? When did I reject you? 99 times. Didn't we agree to be together for the 100th time? Why did you back down? Why are you so unreliable? Have you forgotten? I didn't give her the opportunity to bring up the past. Running after you is not something to be proud of. And so what if I forgot? It wouldn't hurt you too. Forget, except for your face. You have nothing. There is nothing in you. Nothing special. I don't like you anymore. I want to change my preferences. I need to ask you permission. A few words left Lin and NYU speechless. She looked at me incredulously. There was, in her eyes, doubt. Shinzo, what happened to you these days? I said that everything was fine with me. He ate, drank, and slept well. Thanks to you, I even had time to travel. But your sudden appearance makes me feeling a little awkward. If you know what I mean, please leave this cafe. Honestly, you're stopping me from having dinner with this beautiful girl. When I said this, my tone was light and my expression faces, as if it goes without saying. So cold. An indifferent and dismissive attitude made the face. Laziness, in you, and, already pale, turn even more pale. Only then did she realize that everything had really worked out of her control. I was wrong. I shouldn't have taken advantage of your sincerity. Forgive me, Shinzo. Please forgive me. You can give me one more chance. Looking at her slightly trembling hands, I mockingly threw off eyebrows. I can't afford the school beauty's apology. Don't worry. From now on, we are strangers. You don't have to worry about me pestering you. Seeing the determination in my eyes, Lin realized that I was not joking. She was so nervous that unconsciously shook my hand. Why am I frowning? Silva, who did not understand our conversation. At first, I thought we were just saying hello. But seeing that my hand turned red from her grip, she quickly stood up to help me. For Lini NYU, this action was a provocation. Without thinking, she pushed Sylvia's hand away. Sylvia was thrown back a few steps. Lini NYU looked at her coldly and pulled me by. Yourself. Sylvia leaned against the wall to steady herself. Seeing that I was resisting, she gave Lini NYU a slap on the cheek. They immediately clung to each other. Many visitors, fearing to fall under the hot hand, ran out the door. The owner of the establishment from the second floor immediately called the police. The police separated the two girls with bloodshot eyes and took them to the police station. The gauze bandage on Lin's head, Yinyu, and was torn, revealing a gruesome wound, leading police. Horrified, and they instinctively decided that Sylvia was beating. Patient, Sylvia tried to defend herself, beaten by Lin, and was no less aggressive. She insisted that she started first. They argued for a long time. The policemen's eardrums were already bursting, but they still couldn't determine who was right and who was wrong. In desperation, the officer had to turn to the witness on the spot. That is, to me, sir, could not. Would you describe what happened here? Do you mind? Hearing this question, both turned around and looked hopefully at me. I without hesitation raised my hand and pointed at Lin Yinyu. She was the one who pushed first. Hearing this, Lin Yinyu froze, shocked. She couldn't believe I pointed at her. Her voice. I was trembling. I just pushed her. She was the one who hit me first. Shinsho, why are you? The sentence was cut off. Lin Yinyu suddenly had an idea, and she instantly understood everything. Why did I say that? He took revenge on her. He wanted her to feel what it was like to be unfairly accused. Realizing this, she could not utter a word. The policeman did not understand her Chinese speech and asked, "Transfer me." I explained directly what kind of relationship we are in. I had dinner with Sylvia, and she burst in and started a scandal against my will. She wanted to take me away by force and pushed her. This is why they fought. Lin's last hope, Yinyu, was completely shattered. She opened her mouth, but her voice was hoarse and powerless. You won't be on my side anymore. Yes, I looked askance at her and smiled coldly. I am an honest person, I always on the side of truth. But Lin Yinyu still did not give up. She asked again, what if she had pushed today? Me first, you would tell the truth, of course. Are you and I really that close? Silva is young and impressionable. Of course I have to take care of my friend. Throwing this phrase at the end, I left. I didn't care. I didn't care what expression she would have. I just turned around and left. Thanks to the testimony and quickly recovered records from cameras in the form of surveillance, although it soon surfaced out, Lin and NYU were detained for hooliganism. I waited for Sylv to come out, thanked her, and apologized. She just shrugged it off, not paying any attention to these trivialities. She ignored the wounds and instead said, "That's our date." That day was disrupted and suggested meeting. Again, next week. I thought carefully, although Sylv was indeed very beautiful, judging by what happened that day. She didn't seem mature enough. I knew that Lynn and NYU would not leave it so easily, and I didn't want to not involve Sylvia, not to end up again at the police station. I guessed that she had other plans for me, but now I was not going to act impulsively, so in the end, I politely refused. By the way, I didn't see Lynn and NYU for the next 2 weeks. Life returned to normal, but then Sylvia still. She asked me out twice. After my refusals, our relationship just faded away. To know, I wasn't sad about this fleeting friendship. I learned to cook well abroad, so I quickly joined the company of foreign students, international ones. And just at the moment when I almost forgot, Lin Yi knew, she suddenly appeared again. She waylaid me at the university with several cars full of roses and balloons. Looking at curious glances from all sides, I momentarily, speechless. Lin Yinyu, without even looking at my face, blurted out to me, "Everything that you have held in your heart for so long. Chinso, if I woo you 100 times, you will give me another chance." If I heard this a few months ago, I probably would have been moved to tears, but now I felt, not just don't care, it even gave me goosebumps. What kind of dramatic plot is this? And what are these cheesy little phrases? Did he possess me before? How could I make such public confessions? Remembering the past, I don't even have anything in my soul. Yucks. I'm just ashamed to remember this. At that moment, I did not hear what the girl opposite was saying. Without receiving an answer for a long time, the line's heart beat faster, and she got nervous. She could only look at me nervously. I just looked away. I turned away and waved to someone in the distance. "Hello, Gate Zingshu, Geishi. Where did you take Linini?" A glance and I realized that I was saying hello to other people. This made Lin Yinyui's heart feel like it was stuck in a freezer. Lin Yinyui Chinjua. But before she could finish, girl named Gate Zingshu came closer. Her tone sounded very familiar. "We're going on a hike. Chinjua, do you want to join us?" The weather was good, and I had no other plans for the weekend. Besides, there was a big problem right in front of me. I had no reason to refuse. I agreed without hesitation, and smilingly asked about their plans for the evening. None of us paid any attention to Lin and Nu, so I joined their hiking company, looking at the slowly retreating figures of our group. Lin and NYU suddenly turned pale and clenched her fists, and looked at him, with resentment and jealousy in her eyes. Lin and Nui followed us to the outskirts of the city. From the other side of the river, she could clearly see everything that was happening with us. 7-8 foreign students. They were having fun together and looked very lively. She couldn't join us. She could only watch from afar, but the longer she looked at me, I felt more awkward. No matter what I do, the girl is named Gaitsin Shui followed closely behind me. The distance between us never exceeded 10 steps and constantly shrinking. This was different from the warm attitude of others that filled the line with jealousy and longing, and she wanted pick me up immediately. But she knew that if she really did that, that will definitely piss me off. She didn't want our relationship to continue. Stretched so she couldn't do anything, which would make the situation worse. She could only suppress these complex emotions. She convinced herself to be patient. She endured for 6 hours. It was already getting dark. We lit a fire and had a party. It was very lively, because it was too noisy and I wasn't used to it. I went alone to the river to enjoy the breeze. I was too lazy and took the opportunity and came over to me. "Shinsho, I need to tell you something." That day I was in a good mood, but she told me everything. I didn't like it anyway. My tone wasn't very friendly. "Sorry, I don't want to listen." Having said this, I turned around to leave. Lin Inui became agitated. She grabbed my hand, Her gaze was serious. Give me just a few minutes. Shinju, I've been wanting to say something about you for a long time. Hearing this, I finally looked up at her. But the expression on my face was ambiguous. For a long time. What words? I hope I don't make it sound like you fell in love with me from the first glance. In the end, there was mockery in my voice. It was as if Lin Yinyu was not struck. She froze in place. She never expected me to know. A secret that she thought was safely hidden. I didn't care about her condition. The sarcasm on my face became even stronger. Inyu, think carefully about what I said. Don't talk about me or anyone else. At least you believe it yourself. Who can hide their love? 2 years without a single mistake. Who will satisfy? Own pride, publicly rejecting 99 confessions from the person he likes. Who can in the face of all the dangers and pain? Is it love to push away someone you like? Most likely it is hatred. Hearing my twisted words, Lin and knew and as if fell into a stupor. She tried her best to deny it, but in the end she didn't. I couldn't say a word. She could only mumble faintly. No, Shinzo, I really like you. Everyone around knows about it. Everyone can confirm this. Who do you really like there? It doesn't concern me. In any case, the way I see it, the person who you like it's Suin Zhu, and it's always been like that. You should. Mick, go to him and confess his feelings. You two make a great couple. The disgust on my face that. I didn't even try to hide it. It was the last for her. Kepler. Her body was shaking, but she still refused. Let me go? She stubbornly tried to hold me back. I didn't have the patience to bother with it any longer. I just pulled my hand away, turned around and left. That Mick, when my hand was freed, she felt as if she was losing everything. Her heart was pierced by a sharp pain. Strength left her instantly. She staggered, almost falling, but I ignored this. I deftly walked around her and with a light gait returned to the crowd. I thought that by clearing everything up, I would force Lin and Nu finally retreat, but I soon realized that this man, he just doesn't understand the words. In the months that followed, every time I went out, I saw her within a radius of 20 meters. Every few days, she would come up to me with some nonsense, and she called it recognition. 1 time, 2, 3. I've already lost count of how many times this has happened. On her stubbornness and perseverance, I never responded. Whenever possible, I simply ignored her. If it was really necessary, I called the guards to get kicked out. Under the appropriate pretext, it continued again and again, and the school found out everything. Lin and NYU, as well as her persistent pursuit. Therefore, wherever she went, fingers were pointed at her. But she didn't take it seriously, she just followed. Follow me. She thought that if she persisted, then in the end, will finally melt my heart. But the reality was far from her imagination. My face showed no emotion. And I even accepted the courtship of other women. Right in front of her, tension knew, before her eyes. She could only watch helplessly as I grew closer, getting closer and closer to other men around me. Gradually, Lin and NYU began to get used to the scene where I was surrounded like a star. She had to admit that. I was right. I was never her private property after how she was rejected. Over and over again, she became more and more emotionless. It doesn't matter which ones. Did I say hurtful words or what facial expression showed her? She no longer felt pain in her heart. She counted times from 1 to 50, from winter to spring and then to early summer. I thought that the days would continue to pass quietly, from 50 up to 100, and maybe there will be 100 for the first time. He was too lazy and didn't even think of giving up. And just when I thought that I really could look at everything with indifference, I appeared in front of her, holding the woman's hand. I smiled and told those around me, "This is my girlfriend." At that moment, I was lazy and felt as if the sky collapsed in an instant. She lost her mind and rushed straight to me, demanding an explanation. But before she could reach her, she was stopped by a patrolman. "Security guard, Through the column, she asked me with reddened eyes, and in a hoarse voice, "Why?" My gaze lingered on her for a second, and I replied, in an indifferent tone, "I'm young, I have money and free time, and then, is it bad to date a beauty? What do you care?" Lynn in NYU and was depressed for a long time. At night she got drunk alone in a bar. Every day, waking up and looking at an empty room. She was uncontrollably immersed in pain. She wanted to come to me and beg me to break up with her. But every time she comes, she saw me holding my new girlfriend's hand. And I smile, and she didn't have the courage to come up. It was only today that Lynn knew finally understood how I felt. But it was already too late. She did not listen to the advice of friends and family, and stubbornly remained abroad to wait for the result. When the summer heat subsided, Lynn and Nu finally waited for news about my breakup. She came to me with a smile to console me. But things didn't go at all as she expected. I didn't show an iota of sadness. My look was the same as it was a few months ago. A smile froze on Lini NYU's face. She asked carefully, "Were you suffering?" I put on a very polite smile. We parted peacefully. It was a mutual decision. No hard feelings. Hearing this, Lini NYU felt slight relief. But in the next second, my unexpected words. And they shook her. Besides, even if I survived the biggest offense in the world, compared to what it was in the last 2 years, what a difference. You weren't a witness to those events, so why? You're pretending to be a good Samaritan. These last, sarcastic words infuriated Linionyu. She wanted to explain something, but I didn't give her that opportunity. "Shinzo, I can explain what happened that year." "Enough is enough. If you continue, I'll lose my temper. Lynn and NYU, don't make a show in front of me, okay? I can no longer appreciate your acting abilities. If you really want to play, go back to China and find Tamsu Yinzu and his sisters. Okay? They will be happy to support you." These few words made Lynn and NYU blush red. I pushed her away and walked straight towards the academic building. I'm glad I corrected the way people call me. Now everyone calls me by my English name. Few people know that I am the one to whom I confessed. Lazy and new. By this point, laziness and Nui have no more ways left for recognition, because for the first 99 times they never managed to touch me. She was completely confused. Finally, at the suggestion of her friends, she found a solution for the 100th recognition. I chose a small school garden. She prepared a huge domino structure to post the scene of our first meeting. I hung a lot of garlands in the form of stars on the tops of trees and planned to light candles in the garden at night and captivate me back to the past to lure me there. Lin Yinyu asked for help from many people and prepared dozens of plans. This time she was determined to let me know that she really fell in love with me at first sight, and now sincerely repents. Everything was ready, but at the appointed time, I never showed up, lied, and lost my composure. She traveled all possible places in search of me, sounded the signal at 9. The dark wait instantly lit up with lights. Countless balloons soared into the sky. From the sky, petals fell. A romantic sound began to sound in the forest. Piano music, continuous knocking was heard. It was one after another that the dominoes fell to the ground. 1 second, one sound. More than 10 minutes later, at the very moment the last domino fell, all candles. Leninu felt as if all her strength had left her. When it was all over, her phone rang. It was an unknown international call. But as soon as she answered, she immediately recognized that. The end of the line is me. I heard you were going to confess for the 100th time today. But unfortunately, I'm in China now. I'm very sorry. Lin and Nu swallowed the pain and gore. In her heart, she pretended to be calm. Nothing scary. The fact that you called has already made me very happy. Whenever you want, I can prepare 101 or 102 confessions. In her voice, a light sound was heard. Hope, as if she had already dreamed of my forgiveness. This is not necessary. I'm calling to tell you 2 things. Lin Enyu swallowed hard, and her hand tightened her grip on. Telephone. First, I would like to kindly remind you that it is winter now, the weather is dry. When you finish your games, put it out, quickly. Candles in the garden to avoid fire. Hearing this, Lin and Nyu looked up and saw slowly falling dry leaf. Second, I want to tell you good news. I'm in love again. This girl is a little more beautiful than the previous one. You don't have to try anymore. These simple words sank into my soul. Lin Yangjue, but countless times were given. We were riding in it, and it was as if we were instantly under a spell. A sharp pain pierced her forehead. This terrible pain made her no strength left. Click! The phone slipped out of my hands and hit the candlestick. In a matter of seconds, the fire spread throughout garden, but she didn't even move to run away or call to the rescue. Like a statue, she became part of the garden, so she stood all night, and all the trees in the garden burned to the ground. Fortunately, there were no casualties. Firefighters arrived in time and saved her from suffocation in the smoke. Although she was lucky survive, the fire infuriated the university management. Firmly stated that she would seek to attract. Those responsible are held accountable. The main suspect is Lin. Yang Chu was arrested and detained by the police. When the Lin family heard the news, they came into despair. They used all their contacts to save her. But since the matter was international, Lin Yanchun could not avoid responsibility. As a result, the Lin family lost most of their assets. Eventually, they went bankrupt. Due to the negative consequences, Lin and Nui were imprisoned in prison for 6 months. She was also blacklisted. The EU was deported and permanently banned as soon as she was released. She was taken to the airport to be deported back to China, seeing people around in summer clothes. Lin and Nui, who was in a fog, finally arrived. Into yourself. It turned out that summer had already arrived, several months had passed, but he never came to me. Realizing this, she was overcome with mixed feelings. She could not understand whether it was disappointment or loneliness. Time. There will be many more. There will still be a chance to meet Lin and Nu, and could only console herself this way. But when she turned around, then she saw me coming out of the corner and holding my hand. A beautiful woman, according to the photographs they sent her friends. She knew it was my girlfriend. I accidentally looked up and saw her. I greeted her warmly, which was rare for me, and then laid out the whole truth, without hiding. Hello, long time no see. I just returned from a trip to Germany. It's already time. How time flies, let me imagine. This is my new girl, Monica, after Lin and Nu returned to China. Several people wrote to me asking, am I playing or am I serious? I didn't answer them. Now that it's come this far, I saw the line. Knew through and through. She said that she liked me. But really the only one she likes is herself. To her, I was just a trophy for tailing. In the second year of studying abroad, I took the opportunity to participate in many competition. Day after day passed, and here are my 3 years of life. My time as an exchange student has come to an end. I returned home with a box of gold medals. As soon as I stepped off the plane, I saw that I was greeted with flowers. What about Dolan and Nu? I knew he would never have a chance again appear in my life. We're just two strangers in a crowd. Two strangers who meet by chance and pass by.